I'm live. Hello, and welcome to this week's Growing Gratitude. Oh, I feel so crooked. Okay, that's a little bit better. Anyway, new location, you guys, kind of. Welcome to Growing Gratitude. I'm Becca Lori Hector. I am your host every week here on Growing Gratitude, where we talk about the things that are challenging about being an autistic adult alive right now. And I am sitting here on my kitchen floor. It is not really that comfortable, and I'm trying to sit up straight, so I'm in the camera and all kinds of things. But I'm here because here we are on Sundays growing gratitude, and mm, I really wanted to be outside today. I really wanted to be sitting in my backyard with you guys and giving you fresh air via me and reminding you how important it is to please, please, please go outside and spend some time in the fresh air and all of that stuff. And yesterday here in Maine, we had the most epically gorgeous day here. It was just I don't know. I can't even, it was like spring on a platter delivered to our front door yesterday here in Maine. It was like slightly breezy, not really windy. It was warm. You could wear like a hoodie and that's it. You weren't cold. It was sunny, right? It smelled good outside. All the birds were out. It was really beautiful. And Antonio and I got our first hike of the season in on our property yesterday. So I'm super excited about that. It was really fun for us. We went and just walked, and we had to mark part of our boundary line and things like that. But in any case, we got out into the woods, into the forest yesterday, and I took all of these little magical pictures because everywhere in the forest right now, all the little moss that has made it through winter has started to sprout. It's little sproutings of moss for the season. And if you have never seen what moss looks like when it sprouts, please, please, please give that a Google for me today, and take a look at what moss looks like when it's first kind of coming up in the spring, because it's adorable. It's like it couldn't be more fairy-like when moss starts to germinate that way. And so I took a bunch of pictures of that yesterday. We had some fresh mushrooms coming in for the spring and things like that. Took some mushroom pictures. Lots of deer poop, lots of deer poop out there and things like that. But we had a good time. And that was really I guess purpose. We're out there to mark our boundary, but we also had to really get out, and it was this gorgeous day. And then of course today I wake up and it's 20 degrees colder today than yesterday, and windy, so windy today. And so all plans that I had for taking us outside for this weekend, gone. And so backyard it next weekend we shall. I hopefully we'll fight for that. And so what I decided though was that um, regardless, we needed a change of scene. We just needed a little bit of something different to look at. Morning, Bernard. And so I decided on this Sunday morning, since we cannot go outside, I would take you to the very illustrious, very exotic floor of my kitchen. And I did that because I thought, well, if I sit here, a lot of the times when I sit on my kitchen floor, my cats come and chill out with me. And so you can see, I'm going to move entirely. Look at that. I have my cats is. Oh, you can't see her even there. She's the other way. Right? They're just having their sun bath there, rolling around and being adorable. And oh, she's gonna go in her box. That's her special box for you. That's Anara's box. No one other cat is allowed to lay in that box. Um, but anyway, I thought, oh, well, we'll do it on the kitchen floor today because maybe we'll get visits. Maybe we'll get animal visits. And so they're probably gonna now have a little fight, of course, on camera. Don't fight, you guys. Get away from there. Um, and that's my oldest cat there, that black and white guy. Other way. Can never do that right. That's my black and white cat right there. He's our oldest. He's somewhere around 15, Mr. Schmidt. And that's Inara. And then so often I may have other visitors. We'll see if they get up from their naps. And maybe, just maybe, some dogs will come in. That's always fun too. So I thought, like, let's change it up, right? Let's give us a change of scene. Let me get out of my office for this, and into something else, another space for today. And so that's where we are. We are in another space for today. We are in my lovely kitchen, and my back door with all of our coats hanging. Probably not ideal, but indeed a window into my life. And I just wanted to kind of have that casual little chat here this morning, I guess, because I've had a really interesting week, you guys. Hold on. I feel like I'm too close, so I have to sit up too high, and that's really uncomfortable. Um, this is what happens though when you move your space. That's what I want to say. So I moved my space, and now I can't find a good spot to sit in. And again, Bill, if you're here, again, cat hair on my face. Anyway, um, this is the way I want things to feel here on Sunday. This casual, comfortable, who I really am when we're hanging out, when we do things together, when I teach with you guys, when we do our group calls, all of that stuff. So that's what we're here for today. So today, I wanted to talk about this really interesting thing that's happening for me. And so I thought a lot about whether I wanted to talk about this today, whether it was something that I feel sometimes I'm very superstitious, and there are things that I choose not to talk about publicly because I don't want to jinx them. And that's what it is. It's literally not that I'm trying to be private or keep things secret, but that a lot of the time I feel like when we speak things out loud that aren't um, for sure or aren't definitive, right? We're kind of taking advantage. We're like bragging about something that's not real yet, right? And so I'm very careful about what I share, and I don't share things with people until they're very real. Right. And so that's kind of what been doing, and I do. But I wanted to share this piece with you anyway. I decided it's worth the risk. And well, the sun is just coming into my eyeball. I'm going to move this way a little bit, you guys. Okay. Um, and so I've had because I've been having this weird experience, and it's part of the stuff that I teach to you guys. And so I want to share it. And even though there's part of me that's a little nervous about sharing some of it out loud. So I'm not going to give you too many details, but I want to share with you what's going on. So you remember how 2 weeks ago I said to you guys, I really am kind of over the way that I've been sharing myself with the world, and I want to switch things up, and I want to start sharing my life with the world, or the things that I have to teach with the world, in a different way, in a different capacity, doing different things with my energy. And I know I had mentioned a little bit about kind of pulling the course down for a little while, and I've done that. And I also pulled back on social media, which I'm not sure if that's yet apparent out in the world, but I don't really care because I'm out there. I'm going to still be on all of my social medias. I'm just going to be working with my content differently. I'm just going to be creating content in a different way and a lot less way is what I want to say. And putting the energy that I have left over to other things. And so I've been doing that, right? And I told you last week how already I started to feel the difference, right? How I was feeling free and lighter, right? Well, that has continued, right? The other thing I want to share with you is that as I've kind of walked through this whole piece, right? And as I've made peace with the things I'm letting go with, I have literally experienced what I teach to you guys on a regular basis. And so I want to share that experience with you, what that's kind of like. And so remember, I talk a lot about when we're doing things or we're ready to do something new, right? It's important that we let go of what it is that we're currently doing, right? You literally have to free up the energy, and you have to free up the space in your life. You have to do all of this freeing up of things, right? In order to let in the new stuff. And so that is where the space that I've been in, right? And so the big piece there is, of course, the giant risk of it all is, are you letting go of something you shouldn't be letting go of? Should I be trying harder on that thing? Should I be doing it differently? Maybe I need to do it a little bit longer, right? Is it not safe to let go of the thing? Whatever it is. And so we all go and hem and haw at that point about when we want to start things, when we want to let go of things. And what I want to say to you is that peace, that moment of letting go, and really not just thinking about letting go, but that moment when it becomes real and you tell somebody else that you're letting go of something, or you literally have to let someone else go as part of your process, right? And all of this stuff. That moment, that is the risk door in all of this, right? That's the moment when it is most scary, when it is most risky, right? And it's the hardest part. And that's where I was 2 weeks ago when I knew I had to do this, and I'd kind of known it for in the back of my mind for a little bit. And I was at the space where I was ready to step through the risk door. And I had to notify people that I was going to not be doing that anymore. And I had to really think about the impact. And I had a couple of things I needed to clean up around the course, right? There was stuff like that. And so it wasn't until 2 weeks ago when I actually started sending out those emails that I fully stepped through the risk door on that lesson. Right. And so as soon as, right, it really felt like as soon as I did that, it became clear to me what I was going to do next. And it's such a weird experience, right? Remember, I talked about you let it go. So now there's a space open, and then all of a sudden, these opportunities will roll in to occupy that space. And you get to choose something new to take the space of the thing you let go. But that doesn't happen until you let go and make that real and truly commit to that letting go, right? So 2 weeks ago, I did that. The day after I did that, my research got published. So not my research, my team's research got published about autistic quality of life, which if those of you who have been with me since the very beginnings of the course, way back in like 2019, 2020, like back then, um, you know that I was really upset about the lack of information around autistic quality of life and measuring autistic quality of life. And so I went on a journey looking for funding and then doing research around autistic quality of life. And what happens with research is you do all of that. And if you're a good scientist, you write up all of your findings and you put it out for publication. Well, once you do the putting it out for publication, you kind of lose control over its timing at that point, right? It then becomes the journal is working on it. And so when they decide to publish it, when they release it, right, in that process isn't exactly within your control. So you don't know like what day it's going to drop, right? And that kind of thing. And so it's not like I knew that I let go of those things officially with the knowledge that the next day my research was going to be published like that. Right. I didn't know it in that exactitude. I knew it was coming. I just didn't know exactly when. Right. And so that was my first moment of, oh, that's the payback. That's the beginning of the payback for truly letting go of something, right? So I did that. And what I want to share with you is that in the weeks that have followed, right, these last few weeks, it has become clear to me that my next phase isn't about social media. My next phase of advocacy isn't about being out there and yelling and screaming so that our perspective is heard, right? It's not about being loud and pushing boundaries for me. That's not where I'm going to find myself. And that's for a couple of reasons. The biggest of which is not even something I can control. I'm getting old, right? I'm getting older and I don't have the energy or the desire, right, to stand on a soapbox anymore. I've done that for the last 12 years. I've stood on a soapbox for all of us, right? And I want to say, I put in my time doing that kind of advocacy. And now I want to do a quieter version of advocacy, right? A quieter, but more impactful version of advocacy. And I know that happens for me in the research space, right? And I think what I'm going to find is as I'm making this shift, I'm being pulled more towards the research space. And at least that's what the universe has been showing me since I officially let go of some of the other things that I was doing, which I've been doing for a very long time, right? And there's a fear in that. The idea that I'm letting go of social media a little bit is like saying, I don't want people thinking about me anymore, right? That's kind of the way that it works, right? If you disappear from people's social feeds these days, you're existing in a lot smaller spaces, right? That are it's much less public, right? Which means that even the advocacy that you're doing is much less public, right? But there are wins there because what happens in research is that you're supporting, right, the vocal advocacy of other folks, right? If I do research and I create the data and I create the publications for people to use in their advocacy, right, then that's really supporting the next generation of folks. And I feel like that's where I'm being pulled, right? That's where I feel the universe, I want to say, the universe is taking me. Hey, Burnett, is that we're headed towards this. I'm headed towards this space where research is going to be a priority, where I'm going to be doing a much quieter version of advocacy. That being said, the other really cool thing that happened while I've been going through this process is that I have an article. I'm going to try putting out articles on LinkedIn. So that's something that I never did. I've been so busy doing the content creation, right? That goes across the board on many platforms on social media, right? And that's where all of my like writing energy has been going. It's been going into that space of going into my social media and making sure that those things are alive and that my stuff is reaching people, right? And so I haven't really had the space or time or energy or thoughts around kind of longer form writing. Right. I did my book and I was doing social media. So I was doing like the two opposite ends of the scale in terms of writing. And there's a lot in the middle, right? There's the journal articles that I'm now writing for Patreon, right? Or journal articles, not articles, they're entries, they're little tiny snippy things, right? But even that is more personal, right? It's about what's really going on for me. It's more emotional. It's more it's different, obviously, than social media and or writing a book. And the other, that so it's allowed me that space. And then this week, I had the space and the clarity of mind where I decided to put together a full article for LinkedIn. So that's going out this week. I'm going to see how that goes, right? Maybe that's a space that I can be using in a different way. I don't know, but what I want to say to you is it works. That's really the end all be all of this whole thing that I'm kind of battling through here right now, or talking us through here right now, is the idea that when we truly do let go of something, right, it really, really means that it frees you up for something else and the universe will provide. Right. I know when you're in that space of letting go of the old thing, you're like, well, how I don't even know what I'm going to fill it up with, or oh, I just know this thing doesn't fit. And that moment's scary because you know you're going to have this blank space and what's going to go there. Right. But it will come and it comes really quickly and it becomes very clear if you're open to the signals and you're paying attention to the whole situation. And that's really what I wanted to share with you, is that I literally walk the walk that I teach. And if you do that, right, this is the stuff that continues to happen. And have been focused on growing my brand and building it through social media. And that has been a component of my entrepreneurship, I want to say, for a very, 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 very long time, like at least the past 10 years, if not, like 8 to 10 years, right? And I'm so bored and I'm so tired of writing like that. And I'm so tired of having to be on top of engagement every day, all day long, that I cannot even tell you how nice it's been to just look at social media as not prioritized in terms of my business. Is it there? Does it exist? Yes. Is it my number one priority now? No. And that has been so freeing, right? It's there, but it doesn't exist in my life in the way that it was occupying space. It's not drawing my energy. It's just something that's there. It exists. And if I feel like sharing something with the world that way, I can. Mostly, I feel and sense that I will use it to share other people's work. And I think that's great. That works for me. I am a big old cheerleader at heart, right? And so I'm happy to use my platforms to help share other people's work all the time, right? I just want it to be less of a priority, less important in my life. And it's been for the last 2 weeks. And again, that freed me up for some really glorious opportunities that are coming my way. And my new path became super clear, right? Super duper clear. Um, Other things are kind of coming to be here on in other parts of my life, which I'll share with you as they are unfolding. But right now, I just know they're beginning, and so don't have enough to share with you to share with you. But things are coming in my private life too from this letting go. And I'm excited about that too. And so, yay! I will have more to share with you next week, I'm sure. But things are happening, and so I hope that if you're watching, that what you're taking from this is, okay, I know letting go of some things, or old habits, or old routines, or jobs that we've been at for a long time, right? Or family dynamics that we've accepted for a long time. I know that in those moments when you're finally ready to let go, that it's so scary because you're going to have this empty space in your life that needs to be filled. And I know that moment of those few moments, those few days, that week, those months, whatever it is, where you have that emptiness, right? Um, it's going to get filled and it's going to be with something better. And so that is what you have, that faith, that leap of faith through the risk door, right? That something will come that will fill that space that will be better, than what was there, that is what you have to do. That is the hardest part. That is the space that you are at most risk. That is the space where you must have blind faith. That it right, all of those things. But if you can get behind that, the rewards for that are glorious, right? And the hardest part about that is no one can stand in that risk door with you, right? Nobody can shove you through. Nobody can do that. All people can do is stand behind you and say they've got your back, and then they can stand in front of you and catch you when you come through, right? But that step is yours. And so I hope today you will reflect on the spaces and places in your life where you might want to kick some things out with some spring cleaning as spring comes in, so that you have some space to grow some new stuff, right? Are there places in your life where you're doing things habitually that aren't so great, you don't really love, all kinds of that stuff, right? And if that is happening for you, right, can you kick it out? Can you clear up the space? Can you do that stuff? Because I promise you, when you do, good things come. And with that, me and my messy Sunday hair, which I think is so funny. It just looks even messier on Sunday for some reason. And I'm sitting in this light, which is making it look like a frisbee mess. It's such a situation, you guys. I don't know. I'm growing it out and I'm feeling like I don't know what's gonna happen. Will you eventually look better? Should I just flatten it down? I don't. Anyway, you guys. With that, I'm gonna say I've had a pretty incredible last couple of weeks, and I'm excited that gratitude is becoming back to what it was and is feeling a little more casual, a little more comfortable for me, and is truly becoming a space of sharing. So I hope that you guys have taken a little something from that today. Not sure if we'll be doing the kitchen floor again. I'm kind of uncomfortable. It was a little bit hard to sit here this whole time. But I'm going to hopefully, I don't have to. Hopefully, next week we'll be back outside and doing gratitude out in the fresh air with some good visuals and things to do, and fresh air inspiration. So until then, you guys, this is my giant reminder to please, please, please take care of your meat suit, right? Protect your headspace. Keep your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hands, everything open, right, to all the glimmers out there, no matter how small. And I will see you out on the interwebs. Until next Sunday at 10 a.m., where we will be back here doing Growing Gratitude. I'll see you then. Bye, guys.